Hello then, this is Auntie, and I am coming to you with a review of This Is Us, Season 2, Episode 1 of Father's Advice. If this is the first time that you've been with me, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. For all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for being here and joining my family. To all of my faithful nieces and nephews who have been with me from day one, thank you so much for being here. I am going to go ahead and start this review.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie, right? Having one, it just would be nice. 'Cause everybody needs a sweet old auntie, right? So welcome to Auntie's Advice.
As we start off the beginning of this episode, we hear in the background of everything William, who is Randall's father, reading him a letter that he composed on a typewriter. And I am going to read that letter to you, entitled A Father's Advice. And as we know, last season, Randall lost his father to cancer. And he discovered in last season that his mom had lied to him, that she had known his dad the whole time. And we watched Randall as he had to process through all of that. And it was hard for Randall, of course, to deal with losing his father, but at the season ending, we realized that Randall again has to deal with the death of losing another father at a young age, Jack. Jack was the perfect dad. He held the family together. He was the glue. But he had some demons that he fought on his own. His dad was an abusive father to his mom, and he also was an alcoholic. In an article I read today, alcoholism is something that is in the blood. Sometimes we believe that we drink alcohol or abuse substances because it is a choice or something that we enjoy doing. But there are many people who believe that alcoholism as well as drug abuse is something that is genetically passed down to the children. And so we see, a backstory of Jack. Now they're going to explain to us about Jack's life, because we all saw him as just the wonderful father, the one who had forced upon his wife Rebecca child, Randall, African American, adopted by two white parents. What a beautiful story. It's always been a beautiful story. It always will be a beautiful story. But now we're going to go into those things that are in the family that aren't so beautiful, aren't so wonderful. Those things that we often hide within our family dynamic. So travel with me as I read this letter from William. Things not said, advice not given, envelopes not stamped, regrets enveloping me. It is easier there. Is it easier there? I ponder. I guess. Yes. I guess. Yes. Do you think of me as I think of you, my son? My son. My son. The things you'll do, I'll never know. The pain, the secrets. Oh, to be given a chance. A start. A restart. A fresh start. Will love come for you as it did for me? Find you, wreck you, save you, change you? And if life breaks for you the way it would not break for me, and if love haunts you, finds you, captures you, will you hold it tight? Nurture it, protect it? I hope you will. I hope you can. This father's advice is not required. It has no recall. So instead, I share from another. It's better to have loved and lost than to have never have loved at all. We open up this wonderful show. We see Kevin. Kevin is acting, and he has a ring in his hand, and he has a tuxedo, and he's proposing. And we see Ron Howard as the director, the producer of the show behind him, and they cut scene. And then they start to sing happy birthday to Kevin. Today is everyone's 37th birthday. Randall, Kate, and Kevin. And usually these kids, you know, they grew up with traditions, certain traditions they have kept among their family, and they always celebrated their birthdays together, and this year is probably going to be just a little bit different. It is a joy to see Kevin acting again. Kudos to Kevin. And so the next thing we see is Randall at home with the girls, his two cute little button girls. And the daughter asks him as they get prepared to go out of the home, and the mom gets prepared to go to work, Daddy, why is it that you're now staying home and Mom is going to work? He discovered that he was underappreciated there. They had been trying to bring someone else in to take some of his accounts, and he just wasn't having it. When his father died, they knew so little about him that they'd given him something as a gift that he was absolutely allergic to, and as a result, he just broke. He suffered many psychological episodes, should I say, and we saw him go downhill very quickly, but he recovered, and so we're glad about that. But you know, the wife comes in, and she's getting ready to work, and Randall's excited about the evening meeting that they have. He's excited because he now wants to adopt a child. He wants to give something to a child that he received himself, and his wife seems a little uncomfortable about it. Her name is Beth. And so the next thing that we see is my girl Kate. Kate is at the apartment with her boy Toby, and she is preparing for an audition. And Toby is so supportive of her. He is one of those kind of guys who is full of life, full of affirmation, full of encouragement. He's just the ideal kind of guy that any woman would absolutely love. He's overweight, and so is she. And, you know, he's just pumping her and saying, you know, you're going to audition and you're going to do great. And then he comes out with a rice cake with a sparkle on it, and he wishes her a happy birthday. He tells her to make a wish, and she blows the sparkle, and of course he gets some on his hand, and he's just so endearing, and everything about him is just absolutely wonderful. I just love him, and she is so in love with her Toby. It took them a while to get there, as we know from season 1, but I am so glad that they are there. So glad they're there. Toby, you know I'm down 2 sizes. Kate has been struggling with her weight. Last season, as we know, she was thinking about having gastric bypass surgery. She opted out of that because Toby had a heart condition, and fell out at the Christmas dinner. And as a result of that, she didn't want to really take anybody else through that. And she wanted to make sure that she was there for him during his time. And so she opted out of her gastric bypass surgery. And so now she's losing weight on her own. And we saw them both struggling with the weight issue. And so what I really like about this show is that it deals with issues that are everyday issues that we all battle and go through in our lives. I just can't say enough about this show. Anyway, let's move on right here. So Kate, they're playing and they're giggling and they're just, being real flirty with one another. And he's just telling Kate how much he adores her and how much he loves her and how sexy she is. And she tells him, you know what, the sexiest thing about you is how you make me feel sexy about myself. You go, Kate. So we see the kids coming out of the home. They're teenagers at this point. And Rebecca is sitting in the car. The kids are wondering, hey, what's going on? And so, they walk up and they get in the car and they're like, Mom, is Dad okay? And, she's like, he's okay. And, just basically get your tails in the car. And so they're riding. Randall, we see this peculiar look that comes over Randall's face. It appears that Randall knows a little bit more about what is about to happen. He's not really sure, but he knows a little bit more than what meets the eye. And so they get to a restaurant, and guess who's there? Jack. Jack and Rebecca at this time begin to tell the kids that they are taking a break. And the kids are devastated. Kate is, she gets up from the table. She's upset when her dad tries to reach out to her. And Jack basically tells, Kevin, go and see about your sister. And Randall's still sitting there because Randall, he's just more grounded about something. Don't know quite yet what that is, but he's grounded about something and he's not as shocked and surprised as everybody else. This is devastating because this family does everything together. They vacation together, they eat together, they play together. Like everything they do together. And it's just devastating to see that they're at this point. We see Kevin, and he has left the studio. He calls his, girlfriend Sophie on the phone, and Sophie basically can't come. Her mother has MS, and she's spending time taking care of her and being there for him. So she can't be there for his birthday. She makes an apology to him, and then later on we see him coming to the apartment, and where Toby is still with his boo, because at this point Kay has come out with the outfit she's going to wear to her audition. She has this little hat on her head with feathers coming out of it, a black outfit, with a little necklace on, and he's just telling her, look, they probably not even going to take the waste time to audition you. You got it. Like, he is just the kind of man that you wish was in your life. Just a man that would just encourage you and just make you feel like you can walk on air. And then next thing you know, right as they're getting ready to have a passionate kiss, Gavin walks through the door and Toby's like, no! He wants to be able to spend this birthday time with his boo. And, and they start talking, Kate and Kevin. And he said, I like when you all do the two-and thing. I like the fact that Toby is really being assertive about what it is that he wants. He's doing it in a gentle way, but, nonetheless, he's doing it. And so I am so curious to see how this plays out, because Kate has always been that person who has taken care of Kevin and been there for Kevin. And now she has another man in her life who is demanding that love, that time with her. And it's just exciting to see this from them. But anyway, so we're going to go. The next thing we see is Randall. He and his wife are at an adoption office. and they're talking about adoption, and we can see that Beth is extremely uncomfortable, doesn't want to be bothered with this at all. He's excited about what he's going to do because basically, he wants to give the same love and everything to another child, because after all, Randall was adopted. See Beth, and she makes a comment and she says, find a child basically that was left at a firehouse like him. That would be the perfect child for him to adopt. She's really having a lot of issues with this adoption. Later on, we see her at the park, and she's reminiscing about a conversation that she had with William. This park was a favorite place that William liked to go to because it reminded him of home. And so as they're at the park, she talks to William at the time, and she tells him, Randall never even asked my permission for you to come into the house. He just brought you there. And Randall is that kind of guy. Although he is grounded, he's very educated and very analytical, methodical about what he does. As far as love and life and relationship, he's very spontaneous. He flies by the seat of his pants. He has no control over his emotions in a sense. And so for her, she seems to be that type of person who is the yin to his yang. And so for him to bring William into the house at that time, really not even knowing his father, just making a decision right off the fly that you're going to come and stay with me, was uncomfortable with her. And now she finds herself back in the same position with him. He comes to her after they leave out the adoption agency and wants to talk to her basically about the adoption, and knowing that she is not with him on this. And basically he tells her, I'm not moving on for this. This is what I'm going to do. What I thought was really cute was that when he walked up on her, she was acting like she was smoking a cigarette. And he was like, so is that a fake cigarette? And she says, yes, And I guess that's how she deals with stress when it comes down to him. And then what I liked was that he took the cigarette from her and he started pretending as if he was smoking it. And so we know, just from the way that they interact with each other, the support that they have for one another, that everything's going to be okay, that they're going to be able to come to a resolve with this in time. And we see Jack basically staying with his best friend, who ended up marrying his wife, who's now married to Rebecca. But I digress. We ain't gonna talk about that. But anywho, so we see him staying with his friend, and basically that he has to deal with that. He's not, he has to deal with the issues, and he has to deal with the fact that he's not home, that he's not able to be with his family. This is all he's known. And this is all he's ever wanted. And right now, because of his behavior at the club, where his wife was with friends and trying to perform, getting ready to go out onto the road and do her thing, he acts a complete butthole, overreacts, and hits one of the guys who inappropriately made a pass at Rebecca. After going back, that Randall was outside with his brother and his sister, and they were making out. Kevin was making out with the young lady. Randall got tired of it, went in the house, and overheard the whole conversation. Or at least enough to know that everything wasn't as peachy in the household as he thought. How devastating as a child to have to come in and see your parents arguing and fussing and fighting. He kept it to himself, never shared it. But as a young teenage child, how do you process that? How do you do that? And so, we see this maturity about Randall now, and we understand even as a child he had that same kind of maturity. Things that make you go, how many things do our children see us do? How many things do we allow them to overhear? How many times do we argue with our significant other in the face of our children, not even dismissing them, or not ensuring that our voices are not rising above the door, the closed door. How many times have we done that? And what have we done in our children's life? How has this affected them? This show really compels you to think about your life and how your life is in comparison with other people's lives, or at least the life that is being played out in front of us. Just something to think about. Parents, be careful about what you do around your children, because it may ultimately have a lasting effect on their lives. Randall has a discussion with his wife. He goes and has a discussion with his mom, and he asks his mom about why they adopted him or how that process went. The mom wants to give him a fluffy answer, and Randall's like, I'm not having it. And then the mom goes into the story about how he really was adopted, how the father had pushed Randall on her, how she had just lost a baby, she was grieving, she was still in pain after, giving birth, and here he is taking her to the neonatal clinic, window, to see this little black baby that now Jack is saying, that's our child, we're going to take him home. He understands now a little bit about why his mom did the things that she did and why Jack did the things that he did. But he needs that reassurance. And the mom tells him, he pushed me. Jack pushed me. And I wrote down, because I thought it was significant enough to write it down. She said, he pushed a stranger on me. And that stranger became my child. And that child became my life. What an awesome testimony for adoptive parents and for Randall to hear. That ultimately his mom, who wasn't for it at first and was like at a place of no, came to a place of yes, and that place of yes came to a place of love. I absolutely love the way that she broke that down for Randall, and to let him know that someone has to push. But in turn, Randall processed that a whole different way and went home to his wife and let his wife know, although this is something that I want to adopt a child, and they all know the reason why he wants to, ultimately he values his marriage with Beth above going through the adoptive process. She kind of smiles. She says, I want to take you somewhere. And they go to William's favorite spot. Oh my God, y'all, is this place, is this thing not good? Okay, so they go to the adoptive, to William's favorite spot, and then she gives William his birthday gift, which is a book. And she says, this was your dad's favorite spot, and I come here every day. Beth developed a relationship with William that is absolutely beautiful. She had so many stolen moments with him. Yes, Randall was the son and he was ultimately there, but she had those nice, sweet, stolen moments. I'm trying not to cry up on this. Kate go to the audition. She's in there, and there's girls that are skinnier than her that, are beautiful. She gets insecure about it as she leaves. She meets Toby and Kevin at the restaurant. Toby's all excited. He's asking her, how'd the audition go? And, she's kind of, it's just a regular audition, yada yada, knick-knack, paddywhack, and give a dog a bone. After being asked and confronted by Kevin, she tells him the truth. Well, half truth, because she says that she backed out before she went in, but we saw her in there. Toby is so disappointed, he's hurt, but Kevin has a way of talking Toby down and letting him know that when he auditioned and every time he auditions that he's afraid too. The only difference between him is that he doesn't have the weight issue that she does. He's not a female and has to deal with self-image and body image and commercialism and modeling and fashion. Those things make women who are full-figured or heavy-set or obese or morbidly obese very insecure. And it takes a lot to have to battle through everything that you see on TV, every image you see on TV, and push yourself and propel yourself to a place of self-worth and self-value, feeling as if you are an equal to what society deems as beauty and what society deems as acceptable. Kate goes back and she decides that she's going to audition. They are closing up for the day and she's like, y'all are going to let me sing. They let her sing. She sings a couple of bars and they cut her off. She begins to walk off the stage because after all, the musicians are putting their stuff away. And, you know, she stops in her tracks and she turns around and she says, you're not going to blow me off because I'm fat, because I'm not a size 2. You're going to hear me sing. And the producer walks up on her and he tells another girl, the young lady that Kate had compared herself to, he tells her to sing a couple of bars of the song and she begins to sing. Her voice is phenomenal. So it wasn't even about her weight, and the producer tells her that. But because that's all she's ever known, and that's the way that she's always been treated, she made an assumption. When this girl opened up her mouth, it was undeniable that she was the better singer. And the guy said she's an understudy to the other girl because she wasn't good enough. That's a smack of reality to Kate. That it's not always about your weight. It's not always, everyone doesn't always judge you based on your looks and your outside appearance. But they judge you based on the merit of your character. At this point, she was judged based on her talent. She just wasn't good enough. And Kate, you may not be good enough for this. And there may be some men and some women who feel like you aren't good enough for one thing. But guess what? A closed door doesn't mean that another one won't open. A denial is just a delay. If you stay in there, you hang in there, and you do what you need to do, you can make it. Trust me, wrap this up because I don't want it to be all long and drawn out and But I want to talk about something that I thought was significant. At the end of this, we see Jack. Jack had already went to a bar and was trying to get him like a little quick gig or whatever, and the guy told him no. We see Rebecca at the end of this come to the house that he's living in. And she starts to tell him how much she loves him and that they're a family and that they need to work this out together. And at this time, Jack tells her, you know what? I'm drunk. I'm drunk now. I've been drinking all day. I've been drunk all day. I'm an alcoholic and I have a problem. And before I come back to the house, Rebecca, I need to get myself together. And I need to do it alone. See, Rebecca was ready for him to come back to the house because she was like, you are my husband. At the end of the day, I got you, boo. I got you, boo. And Jack was just like, no. He closes the door. He's heavy breathing because there is a huge part of him that wants to be back and connected with his family, but there's another part of him that's saying, no, it's not acceptable at this time. Rebecca doesn't leave. She knocks back up on that door again. And she says, Jack, get in the car. Oh my God. Get in the car. And they cry and they weep at the door, and she leads him out of the house. And then we see a flashback of the kids as teenagers. Kate, Randall, some other girl, and the best friend, Jack's best friend. And they're crying and they're weeping. And Kate says, I have to tell Kevin. We see Rebecca coming back with Jack's personals. Because as we know, Jack lost his life. It appears to be behind the wheel of a car. And now we have an understanding, or at least a little bit of insight, into how Jack died and why Jack died. I am so looking forward to coming out here week after week and being with you to give you these reviews of This Is Us. If you are not watching this show, I'm trying to tell you, you are missing out on one of the best shows that has ever graced television. Thank you so much for being here. Again, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until next weekend, be good. Have a good day and a good life on purpose. Bye-bye. And now an addendum to my earlier advice. If I am so lucky as to still have your ear, I loved you, I lost you, and I advise you 'twas better than having never loved at all. But now, with more years, more time, and more perspective, I see things in a slightly new way. So here, my good son, is a father's advice, updated and recalled. It's better to have loved than lost, surely, but try not to lose at all.